Hey everyone, if you're getting ready for your IBA admission test, then you are in exactly the right place. We're going to dive into some of the most important vocabulary words you're going to come across. And look, we're not just going to memorize these words. The goal here is to really get them, so you can use them with total confidence. So instead of just throwing a long, boring list at you, we've organized these words into 5 simple themes. We'll look at words about clarity, belief, stories, attitude, and then finish up with some tricky pairs. Why do it this way? Well, it just helps your brain make connections, right? And that makes everything so much easier to remember. So you ready? Let's dive in. All right, section 1. This is all about clarity. And trust me, in your essays and those reading comprehension parts of the test, being able to describe if an argument is clear or confusing, that's a huge, huge advantage. Okay, our first word is cogent. Now, a cogent argument is just powerful. It's so clear and logical that you pretty much have to believe it. It's convincing because the reasons behind it are super strong. For example, you could say, the lawyer presented a cogent argument that won the case. See? It was strong and persuasive. Or how about this one? Her cogent explanation of the company's finances helped everyone understand the problem. It was just that clear. Okay, now let's look at a whole family of words that are all about being clear. Let's break them down. First, we have lucid. If something is lucid, it's just clear and super easy to understand. Like, the teacher's explanation was very lucid. Simple, right? Now, pellucid is like lucid's big brother. It means extremely clear, almost transparent. You might talk about the pellucid water of the lake. Next up is elucidate. See the lucid in there? This is the verb form. It means to make something clear, to explain it. A scientist might elucidate a complex theory. And finally, intelligible. If something is intelligible, it means you can understand it. You could say his words were barely intelligible over the loud music. All right, let's switch gears a bit. We're moving on to section 2, which is all about belief and doubt. Words that help us talk about how sure or unsure we are about something. Okay, here we've got 2 words that are complete opposites. It's a great way to learn them. On one side, you have dubious. If a claim is dubious, you're going to feel suspicious about it. You just don't trust it. Like, the politician made a dubious promise he couldn't keep. You just know it's not going to happen. On the flip side, infallible means perfect, like it can never be wrong. A little kid might think their parents are infallible, that they know everything and are always right. So to sum it up, dubious means lots of doubt, infallible means 0 doubt. Okay, pay close attention here, because this pair trips up a lot of people. First, credulous. This is a negative thing. It means you're a bit too quick to believe things. You're gullible. For instance, only a credulous person would fall for that email scam. But incredulous is totally different. It's how you react when you can't believe something because it's just so crazy or surprising. If someone told you they could fly, you'd look at them with an incredulous expression like, no way. All right, moving on to section 3. This time, we're talking about words for stories and sayings. These are the words you'll use to talk about everything from a boring old cliché to a really wise piece of advice. So banal and hackneyed are super similar. They both mean something is unoriginal, but there's a small important difference. Something banal is just boring. It lacks any freshness. Think of a really predictable movie where you know exactly what's going to happen. That's a banal plot. Now, hackneyed is more specific. Something is hackneyed because it's been used so many times, it's lost all its meaning. A phrase like, at the end of the day, is totally hackneyed. So here's the key. A hackneyed phrase is always banal, but not everything banal is hackneyed. This is a cool one because you can see how one word grows into another. So a fable, the noun, is a short story with a moral lesson. You probably know The Tortoise and the Hare. That's a classic fable. And from that idea, we get the adjective fabled. If something is fabled, it's famous because of stories. Maybe it's legendary, but not necessarily proven to be real. For example, treasure hunters searched for the fabled city of gold, El Dorado. Okay, let's look at 2 more ways we talk about short statements. An anecdote is a little personal story. It's when someone says, "Oh, that reminds me of a time," and then tells you a quick story to make a point. It's personal. An aphorism, though, isn't personal. It's a short, wise saying that's supposed to be a general truth for everyone. Like, actions speak louder than words. That's an aphorism. So an anecdote is my story, while an aphorism is a truth for everyone. All right, we're cruising right along to section 4. This is all about attitude and respect. the words we use to describe how people treat each other, from the really good to the really, really bad. So on this slide, we've got a big contrast between positive and negative attitudes. On the good side, we have laud, which is a verb. It means to praise someone, usually in public, and humility, which means you're humble, not arrogant. A perfect sentence using both would be, the scientist was lauded for her discovery, but she accepted the award with humility. See how they work? Now for the negative side. Insolent means you're being super rude and disrespectful. And contumely, that's a noun for the actual insulting words or abusive treatment. So you could say, the student's insolent remarks were unacceptable. His contumely got him in trouble. Okay, let's talk about disobedience. There are a few different words for it. Defiance is kind of the general word for open resistance, like the protesters acted in defiance of the new rule. But contumacy is a bit more formal, a bit more serious. You'll often hear it in a legal setting. It's when you stubbornly refuse to obey a court or some other authority. The adjective is contumacious. And finally, giving lip, that's just the everyday, informal way of saying someone is talking back disrespectfully. Okay, quick pop quiz, just to see if you're following along. Let's think about this. If a leader praises their team's success but gives all the credit to them, what quality are they showing? Think you got it? The answer is humility. Exactly. They're showing humility. Awesome job. And here we are, our final section. Section 5 is all about those tricky pairs that love to cause confusion, and a few other key action words we need to know. Let's finish strong. Okay, another really common mix-up here. Apprise versus appraise. They sound almost the same, but they're totally different. To apprise someone is to inform them. And here's a little trick. Think of the prize in appraise like the prize in surprise. A surprise is new information, right? So you apprise someone with new info. Please apprise me of any changes. But appraise with an A is to figure out how much something is worth, to assess its value. Think about how you give praise to something you think is valuable. A jeweler will appraise a diamond. Whoa, okay, stop. Be super careful with this one. Tortuous and torturous. They sound so alike, but they mean very different things. Tortuous just means it has lots of twists and turns. A road winding up a mountain is tortuous. A long, complicated legal argument could also be tortuous. But torturous, with that extra R, means something is causing you pain, like torture. A really hard exam could feel torturous. So remember, a long, tortuous road might be annoying, but it's not necessarily torturous. Okay, let's wrap this up with 4 final words you've got to know. First, augment. It just means to add to something to make it bigger or stronger. She got a part-time job to augment her income. Second, smother. This means to cover something up completely or to suppress it. He smothered the fire with a blanket. Third, anomaly. An anomaly is just something unusual, something that doesn't fit the normal pattern. A snowstorm in July would be a climactic anomaly. And finally, bemused. This one's a little tricky. It means you're puzzled or confused, but also kinda slightly amused by the situation. You're not angry or frustrated, you're just kinda thinking, that's weird. And to finish things off, here's one last question for you. If you add extra data to your report to make it stronger, are you smothering it or are you augmenting it? The answer? You're augmenting it, of course. You're adding to it to make it better. See? Getting these words right is all about understanding their precise meaning. Keep practicing with them, try making your own sentences, and I promise you, you will get the hang of this vocabulary.